Oop, didn't mean to kick the tripod. Good evening, Cement Shoes. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Cover your ears. Didn't mean to make that loud sound, but I forgot to turn the volume up. Good evening, Sal. Happy Easter to you as well, Sal. Gianna Marie, good evening. Purple, good evening. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope everyone had a great weekend. All the trivia tonight is on Gary Hilton. The name that I know a lot of people probably don't know, but Gary Hilton is an American serial killer. Give it about another two and a half minutes, and then we'll get the stream going. The trivia going. Stream's already going. So Morgan, good evening and welcome to tonight's trivia. Who she says Gianna Marie? Gary Hilton was known by a lot of different nicknames, but he was a serial killer here in America. Yeah, I never heard of this lovely person. Oh, he's a strange one for sure. Only Gary I've heard of is Gary Gilmore. Full name is Gary Robert Hilton, and spelled the same way as the Hilton Hotel, but that's it. No connection to the family at all. Completely different Hilton family. So great for a learning experience because I mean, apparently, a lot of people have never heard of this guy. You could Google him, and or bring up his Wikipedia or whatever. It's not cheating unless you decide that and consider it cheating. Have you done one a trivia night on Gilmore? If not, I nominate him. No, I haven't, Cement Shoes, but I will write it down right now before we forget it. Gary Gilmore, M-O-R-E, M-O-R-E. Trivia. Cement Shoes suggestion. Written down. The Morgan second set. The Morgan. Morgan second set. Joanna Dennehy. I don't think either one of Gary Gilmore or Dennehy. I mean, both very. I've read a lot about, but I've never even they came on the radar. I know they're not on the list. The Joanna. Dennehy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this trivia going. This is the 301st trivia night that I have done. And I welcome everyone here with us tonight. The first question is now on your screen. All right, this is going to be a little bit different. So this is normally I would be in my little window here in the bottom right corner, but some of the questions and answers are a little bit longer, so I'm going to have to put myself in the side little window up here. Hello, Will, in this little window. But the first question is on your screen right now. Most serial killers are known by a nickname, a name that most of the time fits their MO, modus of operandus. What was Gary Hilton's nickname given to him by the national media? Was he known as A, the Barefoot Killer, B, the Ozark Murderer, C, the National Forest Killer, or D, John Jacob Jimmerheimer Schmidt? Good evening, Reichart. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope that you've had a pleasant weekend. Some shoes is going with E, Skippy. Most serial killers are known by a nickname. A name that most of the time fits their MO. What was Gary Hilton's nickname given to him by the national media? Oh, Interpedes, we're on question number one. You're in right on time. We just started. And welcome to tonight's trivia, Interpedes. Glad you could be here with us. Morgan's going with C, question mark, question mark. John Jacob Jimmerheimer Schmidt. That's my name too. Whenever we go out, people always shout, John Jacob Jimmerheimer Schmidt. Da, 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 da. E, mountain lion, says Ricard. Gary Hilton. Most serial killers are known by their nickname, a nickname that most of the time fits their MO. What was Gary Hilton's nickname given to him by the national media? Interpedes is going with E, Snooky. Snooky. The correct answer to question one is C as in cat. He was known as the National Forest Killer. National Forest Killer. Question number two. We will never know the true number of victims of Gary Hilton. We know he killed at least blank before he was caught. Fill in the blank. Was it A, 11, B, 4, C, 8, or D, 17? Question number two. We will never know how many victims of Gary Hilton's there are. We know he killed at least blank number before he was caught. Cement Shoes is going with 144,000. Anna Marie is going with 11. Question number two of 20 on Gary Hilton. Purple and Sal are both going with B. Morgan is going with B as well. John and Marie A. Yo, beat me to that, Cement Shoes. A sounds good, says Ricard. We will never know the true number of victims of Gary Hilton. We know he killed at least blank before he was caught. Steph, good evening, Steph, and welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a great weekend. Happy Easter to everybody again who celebrates Easter. Question number 2. The correct answer is B as in boy. Friendly talker, good evening and welcome to tonight's trivia. Glad you could be here with us, friendly talker. The correct answer is B as in boy, 4. They believe his actual real murder count may be as high as 15, but they know for a fact that he killed 4 before he was caught. Who is Gary Hilton? Gary Hilton is an American serial killer. Give you a little background, right, Cart? If you read the comment that I'm about to post here. If you read that, Gary Hilton was born November 22nd, 1946. Known as a National Forest Killer, is an American serial killer responsible for 4 known homicides between 2007 and 2008, committed in 3 states, all which occurred in the premises of national forests. He was sentenced to death in Florida and life imprisonment in Georgia and North Carolina. Hilton remains a suspect in several other killings, including that of Judy Smith. Question number 2 is B as in boy. 4 known murders, but again, he may have committed as many as 15. He's not a Nobel laureate. That's funny, Cement Shoes. Is he alive, Reichart? Yes, he is. He is alive and doing life without the possibility of parole in Florida. Oh, you think that the smug look on his face, friendly talker? Wait till you see some of the other photos of him. He changed his looks a lot. He looks like Carl Panzram. Yeah. Question number 3 is now on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. Gary had a certain type of women he just couldn't walk away from. Brunettes or black hair, long or just past shoulder length, not skinny but not overweight, what he called American sized. What else made you, yes, you, a target for Gary Hilton? Was it A, an overbite, B, a free Barry Morphew t-shirt, C, eyeglasses, or D, a mini skirt or a sundress? Gary had a certain type of women he just couldn't walk away from. Brunettes or black hair, long or just past shoulder length, not skinny but not overweight, what he called American sized. What else made you, yes, you, a target? Right card's going with B. What a sweetheart, right? Chad Daybell readers. It's funny, Cement Shoes. Morgan's going with C. Sal and Purple are going with D. Steph is going with C. Mountain lions. Right card, a whole bunch of mountain lions. Question number 3 of 20. All right, the answer for question number 3 is D as in dog. mini skirt or a sundress. He described it to the detective that he was speaking with. That it's actually, you can watch the actual recording. I know it's on YouTube on a couple of channels that I don't prefer to give shout outs to, but you can watch the interview with him talking to the detective from the state of Florida, Department of State Patrol, from the State Patrol, and he's talking about how he loves to see the legs of women. A sundress or a mini skirt really turned him on. Black hair or a brunette. But not all of his victims were picked, because of what they were wearing, though. So don't, get that idea. He did kill someone who was an elderly lady as well. All right, question number 4. Gary suffered most of his adult life with paranoid schizophrenia. As the years wore on, he couldn't fight the demons and voices in his head any longer. When he finally snapped, what was the first thing he did that is publicly known? Was it A, he beat a hooker to almost death? B, he got a divorce. You got to sing that like Aretha Franklin. Divorce. Or C, got married to another schizophrenic? Or D, moved out of state? What was the first thing that he did after he finally snapped because he couldn't, chase the demons and the voices from his head any longer? Kalisa says, I'm safe. I never wear those. There you go. He tried out for the Jersey Shore. What was the first thing he did that is publicly known after he finally snapped? He said, I'm going to Disneyland. That's a Tammy Wynette song. Yeah, it is Cali Lisa. Got married to another schizophrenic named Lori Vallow. It's funny, right, Gart? Joined the Chad Daybell book club. System Morgan. A very short list. How many books has he written? Isn't it like 10? I mean, I guess you could have a book club with 10 books. The Chad Daybell book club. The book of the month club. The Chad Daybell book club. Oh. All right, question number 4. The correct answer is A as in apple. A as in apple. He picked up the prostitute who she was working her stroll. He convinced her to get into this car and they were going to go to a motel. And he something happened. He, in the car, she said something or did something that upset him. He only drove about a block away, and in full view of all the other working girls and pimps, he pulled over, walked over to the passenger side of the car, and just started pommeling this lady. And then he threw her out onto the ground. That was the first public thing that he did after he finally snapped. All right, question number 5. Gary served in the U.S. military. Maybe there's something in the water. Maybe it's the endless training. Anywho, what branch of the military was he in? Was it A, Space Force, because it's real? B, the Coast Guard, because things float before sinking? Or was it C, the Army, because somebody has to? Or was it D, the Marines, because we're all great men? Because he was probably broke. So YMCA. What branch of the U.S. military did Gary Hilton serve in? No clue. Maybe D. Says friendly talker. Gianna Marie's going with D. Purple D. Purple C. Steph is going with D. Sal and Purple and the Morgan are all going with C. Rockhart C? Well, could be. Question number 5. Gary Hilton served in the United States military. What branch did he serve in? The correct answer to question number 5 is C as in cat. C as in cat. He served in the United States Army. He was honorably discharged and given a medical leave and discharge from the United States Army. At that point, they knew that he had, all of the signs of schizophrenia, but they did not want to diagnose him with schizophrenia. It was easier just to cut ties with him and send his ass going away anywhere but there. But the United States Army, his discharge papers, I don't think it's his DD 214, but it's like another paper from the Army where they actually had him in the state hospital or military hospital. I can't remember where it was, but I saw it online on one of the blogs about him. How could he have passed a psych eval to get into any of them? Well, I don't know. I never took a psych eval for mine. Back when I joined the Marine Corps, it was basically, are you physically able to do the work? You have to take the ASVAB, which like a cognitive like test, kind of like the SAT. And you take that, you pick a job, enlistment. They send you off and you do a physical. I don't remember doing any kind of like psychological evaluation, at least not me, for the Marine Corps. I don't know. Maybe they don't do them. I don't know about the Army. Don't know anybody who's been in the Army. I got family and friends who've been in the Navy, who've been in the Air Force, Marines, but I don't know of anybody who, my family has served in the Army. Well, no, my stepfather, my wife's stepdad did. He served in the Army. Okay, question number 6, and yes, that is a real photo of the same individual, Gary Hilton. Here's a clue on how to stay alive. Don't go to any place on vacation with a beach called Killer Beach, or take your vacation where the best hiking trail is called blank. If you wish to stay alive and tell others about it, what is fill in the blank here? Is the hiking trail called A, Slasher Peak Trail, B, Blood Mountain Park, C, Death Corner Trails, or D, Bundy Trails? Fill in the blank. Killer Beach, or take your vacation where the best hiking trail is called blank. Question number 6 of 20. Callie, Lisa, and Sal are both going with B. Svet's going with C. Steph's going with C. Gianna Marie is going with B. Where is Kitty Q? Kitty Q's not here. What's up with that? Friendly Talker's going with D. Wonder where Kitty Q is. He looks even weirder in this picture. That's part of his MO, cement shoes. Every time, he would, he would needed to move on after he committed another series of crimes. He would change how he looked. He would either dye his hair, he would slim down or chunk up. He would change everything about him, how he looked. And when he moved on to the next place, shave his head, grow a beard, anything to disguise himself. You sure Kitty Coo is enjoying the Easter Sunday with her kiddos? Probably, right, Cart? All right, question number 6. If the best hiking trail is called blank, if you wish to stay alive and tell others about it, the name of that hiking trail is B as in boy, the Blood Mountain Park. So don't ever go to any place that has a beach that's called Killer Beach, and certainly don't go hiking anywhere where the park and the trails are called Blood Mountain. I didn't pick the name, but Blood Mountain Park. B as in boy. Question 7. Stab, stab, slash, slash, poke, poke. Be careful out there. It's more than just something that I say every time I end the stream. Meredith Emerson didn't take her own advice. She often gave her friends at Georgia State University. What was her first mistake and last mistake? Was it A, she never checked her bear spray? B, she wasn't aware or looking around herself? C, she trusted Barry Morphew was a nice guy? Or D, she left her defensive weapons at home? Stab, stab, slash, slash, poke, poke. Be careful out there. It's more than just something I say at the end of every stream. Meredith Emerson didn't take her own advice. She often gave her friends at Georgia State University. What was her first mistake and last mistake? I guessed wrong. Blood Mountain was too easy. Smith Shoes is going with D. So it's Friendly Talker, Sal, and Gianna Marie. Cal and Lisa and Steph are both going with B. The Morgan is going with B. Purple is going with B as well. My peeps. Good evening, my peeps. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Happy Easter if you celebrate it. The Morgan is going with B as well. Question 7 of 20 on Gary Hilton, American serial killer. Boop, 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 boop. Question number 7 of 20. That is true. It's always better late than never showing up. All right. The answer to question 7 is B as in boy. She wasn't aware or looking around herself. And that was something that she always told her classmates and others that, in the sorority at Georgia State University, was to always be aware of your surrounding and who is around and maybe watching you when you are alone. She didn't take her own advice on this tragic day. This is Meredith Emerson, the college student that I'm actually talking about. She was a recent college graduate with honors from the University of Georgia. She had her entire life ahead of her. She was loved by and respected by so many. She was preceded in death by her grandmother and grandfather, and an uncle and a niece. Yet she is missed by so many today. She was born January 1st, 2008, and murdered by him. All right. And here's another creepy ass picture of the man that we're doing trivia on tonight, Gary Hilton. That is not a staged photo. That is the man this trivia is about. This photo is almost exactly like his DMV photograph. What is the only difference? Is it A, he had hair in his DMV photo? B, he wore glasses in his DMV photo? C, he wore a Def Leppard t-shirt? Or D, he had bloodshot eyes? Kitty welcome, Kitty. We were just asking about. I was just asking about you. We figured you were probably busy with the kiddos and the Easter. I'm glad you can make it though. Callie Lisa's going D. Friendly Tucker, A. Sal, A as well. Cement Shoe says the orange murder suit. What is the difference between this photo and his last DMV photograph? My peeps is going with B. Morgan C. John Marie B. Where your ears burning, Kitty Q. Ride card's going with B. Not a staged photo. That's the man this trivia is about. Think about how you can scroll back and look at the other ones, the other photos, and just how much he changes his looks and appearance over and over again. All right, question number 8. The correct answer is B as in boy. He wore eyeglasses. In his DMV photo, he is wearing an orange and black shirt as well as this one here. You can't see the rest of his chest, but on the chest and on the pocket, it says Department of Corrections, DOC, in black letters. And so it's orange and black. And the bottom part of it has a tailored edge that is black as well for the inmate shirt that he's wearing here. Then so and the Def Leppard t-shirt is orange and black as well, and it has it's not the Hysteria album cover on it, but it has it's one of the other albums by Def Leppard. But he wore glasses. B as in boy. I'll rewatch the beginning at the end. Haha. So I guess technically, if you answered either one, or either B or C, I'll give you credit for it because I mean the T-shirt was Def Leppard T-shirt in the DMC photo, and it was orange and black, and it's orange and black in the jailing one. But here's two more creepy photos of the same guy. We know for sure Gary killed at least 4 people in different states and federal national parks. However, he is linked to at least blank more murders where the victim was murdered or the remains match his MO exactly. Fill in the blank. We know Gary for sure killed at least 4 people in different states and federal national parks. However, he is linked to at least blank. Is it A, 11, B, 8, C, 5 or 6, D, 2 or 3? Question number 9. I wouldn't want my last thoughts of consciousness to be this man's face, right? In the picture on the right, he looks like the Golden State Killer. He does, doesn't he? He does definitely have that shape, in the hair. Kid accused going with C, Sal, D, Gianna Marie, C. They always wear glasses. Friendly talkers going with A. Question number 9. I picked D because I always hope it's the smallest number. Well, we always hope. But a lot of times it turns out to be the larger number or the next to the largest number. Yeah, Lisa's going with B. We know Gary for sure killed 4 people in different states and in federal national parks. Question number 9. After this question, I'm going to go back to the Meredith Emerson. I forgot to read you my notes here. You probably don't want to know it, but I'm going to tell you them anyway. So just be warned, it's graphic. But I need to go back and read my notes for that slide again. Well, I didn't read them at all. All right, question number 9. The correct answer is A as in apple, 11. Again, they know he committed 4, and they believe he may have killed as many as 15. 4 plus 11 is 15, ladies and gentlemen. All right, going back to the Meredith really quickly here. I forgot to read my notes on this. I read what was on the screen, but I forgot to read my notes here. She had just recently graduated, as it says here, from the University of Georgia. And when he caught her on the Blood Mountain trail, is where she was, and she was the victim of that, and she was on vacation, just going hiking for the day. And when he caught up with her, he beat her to damn near death. But her actual final cause of death was loss of blood from a stab wound. But he also decapitated her. He didn't kill her right away though. He kept her with him in a tent there in the national park for several days. And while he was trying to get her to give him the PIN code for her debit card so he could get money out of her account. And she knew as soon as she gave up that information, he was going to kill her. And yeah, so she gave him a false number so he wouldn't be able to get the money out of her account. But as soon as she gave him the PIN code, finally, he ended up killing her. But over the course of several days, he beat her and then eventually decapitated her. All right. Sorry to have to tell everybody that. Question number 10. By all accounts, Gary was a late bloomer. he most likely didn't start killing until after his blank marriage and divorce? Is it A, his fourth, B, his third, C, his 144,000th, or D, his 666th? It was found in a store parking lot and returned to her family and her dog, whose name is Ella. So if he killed in federal parks, wouldn't that be a federal crime? Uh, you can prosecute it as a federal crime. If he took the victim over state lines, it would definitely be a federal crime. And sometimes the feds decide not to prosecute certain crimes, murder, rape, other violent crimes. They decide not to prosecute them because they don't have the resources to put forth to it, and the state does. So the federal government, kicks in and pays the entire bill for the prosecution, and then that person is housed in either federal or state facility or a state place where they have federal time, where there are federal inmates. Not all state prisons. I'll give you an example. Like here, I live in Washington State. We have a prison that is near me that is called Walla Walla State Penitentiary. Yeah, that's where you get the Walla Walla onions. That's the only thing that's famous for that damn city. But anyways, there are people who are actually in the Walla Walla State Penitentiary who are doing federal time. They've been they've gone to a federal prison and now they're doing a mixture of federal and state time, or they're doing federal time within an actual state prison because there's no place else to put them. Maybe they're more violent than, or they have a gang affiliation and they can't put them in the state system where they are. And a lot of people don't know about that, though, that just because you have a prison, in your state, and pick a state, you have a state prison somewhere and where it's at. Not all those inmates who are in there are doing state time. They could be doing federal time and state time, or just federal or just state. Wait, what? Married and more than once? Oh yeah, you're going with D, the 666, the sign of the beast. By all accounts, Gary was a late bloomer. He most likely didn't start killing until after his blank marriage and divorce. Question number 10. The correct answer is B, as in boy. He didn't start killing people until after his third marriage and divorce. That is our first 10 questions, ladies and gentlemen. As we normally do, we take a 6-minute break at this point before we do the second half of tonight's trivia. So do whatever you need to do. Get yourself something to drink. Whatever you need to do. You do you for the next 6 minutes. Did not know that? It all depends on the actual sentencing, in a lot of situations. And just because an inmate commits a crime like murder in Florida, doesn't mean they're going to do their sentence in Florida. If they decide that they need, more security, or they need more medical attention while they're in prison, they could put them in the system, which means that they will bounce them out to another state that has the facilities that they need. And a good example of that is Christopher Watts committed his murders of his wife and his children in Colorado, and he's doing his entire life without possibility of parole in Wisconsin because they put him in the system in the state of Wisconsin. And I believe it was California and Wyoming were the only states that stepped up and said, yeah, we'll take him, because he's a high profile inmate. He's always going to be a high profile inmate. So all these things go into how much of a profile they are, their medical needs, their psychological needs, their rehabilitation, if it's possible, if they're ever going to get out of prison. All those things go together, and then they take into account previous criminal convictions, gang affiliation, and all these things that go into making what's called it's a score. And they say, okay, you like Christopher Watts had, I think he was like a 43 on the scale. So that 43, who is out there right now, prison wise, that will take an inmate with a 43, score? Some inmates are a lot higher, some are a lot lower. Josh Duggar is only like a 9 on the scale. So, and he's as sick as they come. Her crime occurred in Colorado. Letitia is in Kansas. Yeah. And then there's the other inmates. Um, they when they get put into the system, they call it diesel time. And diesel time is basically they just keep on shoving and moving that prisoner around from prison to prison within the federal system or state system. They could be in Georgia in a prison tomorrow, and then a month from now they're in Juneau, Alaska. They just keep on moving around. And that's actually, it happens a lot more than you might want to know, which makes it impossible for for their attorneys to talk to their clients, for appeals, or the families to visit the inmate or communicate with them. But the worst of the worst, they keep on shoveling around from place to place. Just because they're in Attica right now doesn't mean they're going to be in Attica tomorrow. Like, I'm just using that as an example. But it's interesting that the actual prison system itself. I know a guy who he's now doing his state time, but he was convicted of federal and state charges for attempted murder, theft, but his crimes crossed state lines, which was the federal part of it. So he got federal time and state time, and they've bounced him from, I think, 4 different prisons. He's currently in, I want to say, Mankato, Minnesota. That could be wrong about that though. But he's doing state time now because he's already finished up his federal. Not the dog's fault who the owner was. Our tax dollars paying for all their travel. A bunch of BS, right? Yeah, and you might see some of them out there on the roads of America, right, Cart? Sometimes they move these inmates, 1 or 2 at a time in an SUV. They'll have a lead car and then the prisoners, and then a tailing car. And they'll move them that way, and it's not always by buses that look like they can go through a war zone. But then there's Con Air. That's a real thing, Con Air, where they fly inmates from point A to point B by air. Hopefully, it's not going to be asked, or already has been. But the dog was Dandy. People were wanting to kill or hurt him, but one of the detectives renamed and adopted it out. Golden Retriever. Wow. You've seen them? Yeah. I see them all the time. I have a friend who works in corrections. He's a guard. He was at Walla Walla State Penitentiary. Then he went from there to Coyote Ridge Correction Center, and now he moved over to the west side for another job over there, and he's going to be there for another 2 years at minimum because he's finishing up his degree in criminal justice. They should have Let's Watch Rot in Dodge Correction Center. Yeah, he's never going anywhere. Chris is going to die there. his attorneys want to move him closer to home, back to Virginia or Georgia, so it'd be easier for his family to see him. But just putting in a compassionate request, that's what it's called, a compassionate move request to move him closer to his family. And very few ever get that. I was at a truck stop restroom, and they're sitting in handcuffs and chains. Yeah, I've seen them move a lot of inmates. My friend, has moved a lot of inmates, and how they do it from place to place. It's usually never more than two, unless they're going, by bus. They're moving like a whole bunch of them from the county jail to the state penitentiary. They move them by bus that way. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are back. Question number 11 is coming up. Question number 11 is now on your screen. Which method was used by Gary Hilton the most to get his victims to commit his horrific crimes of rape, torture, murder, and mutilation? Was it A, he met the victim and gained trust, then kill? B, blitz attacked them? C, drug them slowly, then he attacked? Or D, he physically and mentally abused them, then kill? Drown in the toilet bowl? Yeah. Okay, Lisa's going with A, Summit B, Reichardt B. Kittico B, question mark. Sal is going with D. Question number 11 of 20. Friendly Talker is going with B. Gianna Marie is going with B as well. Which method was used by Gary Hilton the most to get his victim? The Morgan's going with B. Question number 11 of 20. Alrighty, the answer to question number 11 is B as in boy. B as in boy. He blitz attacked them. None of Gary Hilton's victims knew him before he actually attacked them. They were all complete strangers to him. Like, who would chat up crazy eyes? Right? Question number 12. If you're going to kill, you might as well have fun doing it. Gary clearly had fun at what he was doing. Maybe he was insane at the time, maybe he wasn't. However, he was found to be blank at his trial. Was it A, insane in the membrane? B, completely sane? C, suffering from acute schizophrenia? Or D, suffering from Lori Vallow lust in the membrane? Question number 12 of 20. If you're going to kill, you might as well have fun doing it. And Gary clearly was having fun at what he was doing. Maybe he was insane at the time, maybe he wasn't. However, he was found to be blank at his trial. Question number 12 of 20. Okay, Lisa's going to C, Kitty to B. Record A, D. Random Talker and Cement Shoes are both going with C. Sal's going with A, C. Morgan, C. Oh, it just finally showed up on your comment there. Reichardt, A. Now music note, music note, music note, D in piano keys. Before it was just A and a D with nothing around it. Huh. Guess the system's a little slow. Question number 12 of 20. You're going to kill, you might as well have fun doing it. Gary clearly had fun at what he was doing. Maybe he was insane, maybe he wasn't at the time. However, he was found to be blank at his trial. The answer to question 12 is C as in cat, suffering from acute schizophrenia. At the time of his trial, he was found to be suffering from acute schizophrenia, according to the state medical doctors. And you may be wondering, how do you charge someone like Gary Hilton with a crime of murder if they are insane? They go away for restorative care, like what happened with Lori Vallow. They received restorative care and medication and supposedly some kind of psychotherapy, and he was found to be able to aid in his own defense. And that is why they spared the needle from him in the state of Florida, where they actively used the death penalty, at least then when his trial took place. I mean, most states, even if they have active death penalty, they don't use it as much. I mean, but we all know the state of Texas does. Texas, like, he needed killing, but he was found to to be able to aid in his own defense. So the trial went forward from there, and he was found guilty and given life in prison, not only in that state, but in the state of Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. So, all right, going on to question number 13. Welcome, Gary Hilton. You are the next contestant on Life Without Parole. The next item up for bid is your soul. Where is Gary Hilton doing his prison term? Is it A, Wabash Correction Center, B, Sing Sing Prison, C, Dodge Correction Center, or D, Union Corrections Center? Welcome, Gary Hilton. You are the next contestant on Life Without Parole. The next item up for bid is your soul. Where is Gary Hilton doing his prison term? Go Texas. Everything's bigger and better in Texas, as they say. Catalisa and Kitiku are both going with D. Friendly Tucker is going with C. Cement Shoes A. Reichardt E. At the Hilton Inn. Gary Hilton doing his time at the Hilton. Morgan going with A. Anna Marie D. Question number 13 of 20. Sal's going with D. Where is Gary Hilton these days? The Red Roof Inn. The Jersey Shore home. Yeah, that's an asylum there. The Jersey Shore home. That's worse than spending your time with Lori Vallow at the Black Rock Inn. Question number 13 of 20. Where is Gary Hilton doing his prison term? The correct answer is D as in dog, the Union Correction Center in Florida. Just the mountains lines are bigger in Texas. El Paso, Mafia, and the Alpine do have smaller mountains. So, question number 13. The correct answer is D as in dog. The Union Correction Center in Florida is where Gary Hilton is spending his time. Question number 14. Everyone knows the first rule of prison is not to talk about it. Oh, wait, that's Fight Club. We don't talk about Fight Club. Since Gary has been in prison, all of his prison stints, i.e., bids in prison, how many fights has he been in? Is it A, 14 fights, B, 10 fights but one stabbing, a shanking, C, 12 fights, or D, 13 fights? Everyone knows the first rule of prison is not to talk about it. Oh, wait, that's Fight Club. We don't talk about Fight Club. Since Gary has been in prison, all of his prison stints, i.e., bids, how many fights has he been in? Question number 14 of 20. Kalilisa, Sal, and Kitiku are going with B. Question mark, question mark. Gianna Marie is going with B as well. Friendly Talker going with B. Everyone knows the first rule of prison is not to talk about it. Oh, wait, that's Fight Club. We don't talk about Fight Club. Reichardt's going with D, 13. DeMorgan is going with B. In case you're wondering, Gary Hilton has done quite a few prison terms over his life, from for being convicted for everything from theft to murder. He has been in and out of the prison system quite a bit. Question number 14 of 20. The correct answer is B as in boy. 10 fights, but one stabbing. In his entire history of being in prison, he has been in 10 fights, and one was a stabbing, a shanking. Shank is a homemade weapon. It can be made from everything from an ink pen to a toothbrush, to a scrap piece of metal or a piece of a chain link fence, whatever they can get their hands on. They're pretty inventive. And some will even, there's videos you can watch online where I think it's, I don't know if it's 23. I don't know if he did it, but there's a YouTube channel, like a former prisoner, inmate who does a YouTube thing now where he has shown how they make like knives out of Jolly Ranchers and out of Laffy Taffy by heating it up over and over again and then molding it till it becomes really hard and it's able to be made into a weapon, and then they sharpen it on the floor, the concrete floor in the prison. They'll make a weapon out of anything they can get their hands on. Was he starting these fights? I do not know the answer to that, Friendly Talker. I just know he's been in 10 fights because each and every one of the fights in the one stabbing is listed as he was either sent to the hole or he lost good time that he had occurred at that point. In the state system, when you go to prison, you can earn a deduction of your time. It's called good time for following the rules and not being a pain in the ass. Well, Gary has always been a pain in the ass to everyone. Good evening, Tina. Welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and happy Easter if you celebrate it. All right, question number 15. Now that Gary is on medication, he is corresponding with law enforcement in blank state or states to help them solve cold cases of missing people without admitting he was the person who killed them. How many state or states is he actually helping? Is it A, 4, B, 1, C, 2, or D, 3? Now that now that Gary is on medication, he is corresponding with law enforcement in a blank number of states. Kitty Q is going with D question mark. Sal is going with D as well. Question number 15 of 20. Rockhart's going with D. Gianna Marie D. Callie Lisa is going with C. Doop, 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 doop. Doop, doop, doop. I'm out of water. I have to get myself another water. We have Friendly Talkers B. The Morgan is going with D as well. Today's water is Liquid Death's Convicted Melon. Convicted Melon. Liquid Death. Jolly Rancher, him. All right, question number 15. The correct answer is D as in dog. 3 states. All 3 states he has been convicted of murder in. To be exact, North Carolina, and Florida, and Georgia. 3 states he is helping to actually solve cold cases of murders, giving them either tips on what the person who most likely did with the victim, and all of it without ever. I kicked the camera. I'm sorry. There. All of it without admitting any guilt at all. But he is helping them. Today's beer is Miller Lite. There you go. Smith Shoes went with A for 3 states. D as in dog. All right, question number 16. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea. Gary always wanted to retire by the sea. In an interview in June of 2000, Gary told a reporter with Fox TV his favorite part of living by the sea was what? Was it A, Peter, Paul, and Mary songs sounded better there? B, he could discard victims easier? C, he loved to hunt for sharks? Or D, Barry Morphew could come and visit him? Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea. Gary always wanted to retire by the sea. In an interview in June of 2000, Gary told a reporter with Fox TV his favorite part of living by the sea was what? Callie Lisa, Cement Shoes, and the Morgan are all going with B. Oh, and Friendly Talker B, Gianna Marie B, Tina B. Kitty Q is going with A. Peter, Paul, and Mary song sounded better there. Right card D, of course. Mountain lion, mountain lion, mountain lion, mountain lion. Purple is going with A. Puff the magic dragon lives by the sea. I should have put Passamaquoddy in there, but I wasn't sure how to spell Passamaquoddy. Watching Jersey Shore reruns. What was his favorite part of living by the sea? The correct answer for question 16 is not B. You would think it would be B, but it's actually C. He loved to hunt sharks, and he often, even as a child growing up, they used to take vacations to the coastal area around Mississippi, and he would go shark hunting with his father. He loved to hunt for sharks. You know, Passamaquoddy, Passamaquoddy, Passamaquoddy. I probably haven't seen that movie, Puff the Magic Dragon, in let's just say 30, 40 years. I haven't, it's been how long since I've seen it? I mean, but yet I still remember like a great portion of it. It's like burned in the back of my mind. But C as in cat for question number 16. I don't know how to spell it. Neither do I. Shark Slayer. But that was one of the things he loved. He loved to eat them. He wasn't just killing them for for sport. I mean, there was obviously that, but he loved to eat them. He loved shark meat. I don't know if you guys have ever had shark meat before. I have, but I've had it in gumbo, and I've had it as like a steak. It's like a fish fillet. It's actually pretty good. All right, question number 17. Unlike any other victim, this victim was personal to Gary. He needed to control her. He kept her alive for 4 days after beating her, just so he could get her to give up her bank information. She knew as soon as she did, he would kill her, and he did. Who was this? Was it A, Emerson Meredith, B, Anthony Susan, C, Bryant Irene, or D, Little Chicken? I have not and won't ever. I am a shark enthusiast, though. Mm. No wonder he looks like a shark. You really are what you eat, they say, right? Tina, A? I don't know. Rat card's going with Chicken Little. Purple is going with A. Question number 17 of 20. The correct answer to question 17 is A as in apple. Meredith, Emerson Meredith, Meredith Emerson. I've reversed them all just to try to confuse y'all. But Susan Anthony and Irene Bryant were both other victims of his. He obviously didn't kill anybody named Chicken Little, but A, B, and C are all victims of Gary Hilton. Mugshot from Georgia. Besides killing people, which he was good at? What skill did Gary have that he was great at? Was it A, a mechanic, B, a carpenter, C, a NASCAR driver, or D, a singer? Actual mugshot that you see there from Georgia, Marietta, Georgia, the sheriff's office, for one of his many arrests. Besides killing people, which he was good at, what skill did Gary have that he was great at? Was it A, a mechanic, B, a carpenter, C, a NASCAR driver, or D, a singer? Mac. A, Tina's A, friendly talker A, Sal A, Kitty A. Callie Lisa's going with B. Question number 18 of 20. Sal, Kitty purple, Gianna Marie, all A. Right card D, insane in the membrane. Insane in the membrane. In case y'all don't get the reference to that, that is Cypress Hill. Cypress Hill, insane in the membrane. Besides killing people, which Gary was good at, what skill did Gary have that he was great at? The correct answer is B as in boy. Carpenter. He was actually a very talented carpenter. He never, sat for any kind of like trade school or anything like that, or took a testing at it. But he could build things, like there was no tomorrow. He helped build a garage. He was a general contractor on some actual real jobs, but he always found that crime, was more of his becking, I guess you could say, because Gary suffered from the schizophrenia, as we pointed out, and he was unmedicated most of his life. Even from his early 20s when it first started coming on, and then to medicate himself and to shut the voices off and to chase the demons away, he self-medicated a lot with alcohol. And there's a story that you can read online. I'm pretty sure you can find it, but it's also in in a couple of different books. But anyways, of a former coworker who worked with him for the county, and I think it was in Georgia at the time, but they worked for the city, or county, and he told stories about what Gary was like, and around the time before he snapped. Yeah, he was always like a shuffled. He would either show up for work. Sometimes he'd be wearing two different shoes. Or it looked like he just rolled out of bed. And was going to work that day. Or he was wearing dirty clothes from the day before, and he went home, but he never changed or showered or cleaned up. But he was so talented that they kept him around, even with all the electricities and everything else that was going on with him. They kept him around because he was very handy, and he knew a lot about everything when it came to fixing and repairing things, and getting jobs done. He knew how to not only facilitate the job, what person needed to be where and who was the best at doing the job, but he could run that stuff, but he was always just not there, mentally. And he would just take off. for days on end, and nobody knew where the hell he went. He would just not show up for work, but they kept him on the job because they knew that there was something going on with him. Well, then he snapped after his third marriage and divorce, and he's starting all over again, and he went off the deep end, and that's when they figured he started killing. Was then he was used, insane in the brain. All right, go on. Next question, number 19. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. But like the wine and the songs, the seasons have all gone. Bye bye, Papa, it's hard to die when all the birds are singing in the sky. How old is Gary Hilton today as of March of 2024? Is he A, 82, B, 67, C, 91, or D, 77 years old? Hello, Diana Bowman. Good evening and welcome to tonight's trivia. I hope you had a pleasant weekend and happy Easter to you if you celebrated. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. Like the wine and the songs, the seasons have all gone. Dum 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 dum. Bye bye, Papa, it's hard to die when all the birds are singing in the sky. Those are the lyrics to Terry Jack's song. Terry Jacks, yep. But originally sung by a French singer. I did not know that. I only knew of the Terry Jacks song. I have the record behind me. I was listening to it just the other day. That's a spooky song. Spooky song says Reinhardt. He's a spooky man, Gary Hilton. And no, that is not a word for word, of the song. Obviously, I had to cut it down for the space, and then you can see how much room it took up there. But you get the gist of it. That's a song that was famous by Terry Jacks. Happy Easter, everyone. Happy Easter to you too, Diana. Question number 19 of 20. Rockhart is going with B, question mark. Diana Bowman going with A. John Marie, A. In this photo, he kind of looks like Mr. Bean. You think so? Mr. Bean? Well, a little bit. I can see where you can draw that conclusion. Roland Atkins is Mr. Bean. For those who don't know who Mr. Bean is from the BBC, Black Adder, Mr. Bean, it's Roland Atkins. Question number 19. How old is Gary Hilton as of March of 2024? Rowan Atkins. Yep. An absolute gem of the theater and the big screen. Rowan Atkins. All right, the answer to question number 19 of 20 is D as in dog. He is 77 years old. He will turn 78 in November. And November is his birthday if he lives that long, but he is 77 years of age. D as in dog. All right, question 20. When arrested, Gary Hilton had an odd assortment of items in his personal truck. Some were trophies from each victim. And this is that's a clue onto why they think that he killed as many as 15 and 11, because there was a little plastic box that had a snap tight lid that he had collected trophies from the 4 that they know he murdered, but there were a total of 15 items in that little plastic bin. So that would be the other 11, making it 15 total victims. But anyways, while other items were even more strange, what one item did he have 46 of in his truck? Was it A, the June issue of Ebony magazine, B, newspapers from Washington, D.C., dated June 11th, 1989, C, a brand new box knives without the blades, or D, unopened 1980s legs pantyhose? Adult diapers. Is he going to run for president? It's funny, right, Kurt? He's going to run for president. Okay, at least is going with D, B for Kitiku, right, Kurt? D, because it's so bizarre. Tina is going with D. Sal, I don't know. C? I don't know. I don't know. Morgan is going with B. What did he have 46 of in his truck? Question number 20 of 20. Purple's going with C. Brand new box knives without blades. Diana Bowman and purple, C's. Question number 20 of 20. All right, the correct answer, ladies and gentlemen, for question number 20 is D as in dog. Unopened 1980s legs, that's the actual brand name, legs, pantyhose. How did and why the hell did he have them? We have no idea why he had them. We know where he got them from, though. A consignment store that had been closed for several years was cleaning out inventory and throwing things into the dumpster. And he had fished through the dumpster and had actually taken a couple of items out of there, but he took an entire box, a cardboard box that was nothing but legs pantyhose, and he had put it on the floorboard on the passenger side of his truck. There were 46 unopened packages of legs pantyhose from the 1980s. But that was in his truck. The rest of the things that there were in there was a plastic container that he had trophies from all of his victims. There were receipts, a whole lot of empty cigarette packs and basic garbage from takeout places. But that one cardboard box. The other items that he took out of the dumpster was a sports coat from the 1970s. Had like large lapels on it. And I think there was a shirt, but I'm not entirely sure if there was a shirt or not. But you can actually find the inventory list from his arrest online. All right. How did you do tonight? This is completely optional. You do not have to give yourself a letter grade, but some people like to do it, some people don't. If you get an A, a B, a C, a D, or E, are you just a rock star mountain lion tamer? Again, this is completely optional. You do not have to do this. We are playing for fun and entertainment only. F paintings of Casey. I actually tell you something about that in a minute here. Cement shoes. Rackart. Rockstar. There is no cold case files tonight. I had an issue when uploading them to add them to this like I normally do. So next week we'll get 4 cold case files, the 2 from this week, and then the 2 new ones, that are normally are there for next Sunday's trivia. Didn't count. It does. You don't even have to count, Tina. All right. How many of the 20 did I know before putting this trivia together? Ladies and gentlemen, I knew 2. 2 out of 20 is all I knew. I never even heard of this man until he was suggested by one of the viewers of a past stream. In the comment section of that video, they said you should do a trivia night on Gary Hilton. I never even heard of this man. I had never heard of the National Park serial killer. And one of the other reasons why they called him the National Park serial killer, if he killed someone in one national park, he never killed anybody else in that national park. He moved to another one, and then another one, and another one. But they believe that those were all the most recent ones. But they believe the other ones that he may have committed that match his MO, or they haven't found the body at all. For some of his victims. But there is a husband and wife team in there as well who vanished, and their card, the husband's debit card was used back in the same town where Gary Hilton lived at the time, like 120 miles or something like that away from where they were, and where they were murdered. But they would be victim number 5 and victim number 6, and the likelihood is like 99% that Gary Hilton actually killed them, the husband and wife. But anyway, so I was going to tell you something about the Gacy painting of Pogo the Clown that from John Wayne Gacy, cement shoes. I actually ran across a listing for a painting that was done by Gacy, but it's not of Pogo the Clown. It was I think it was Alice in Wonderland or a Disney character, but they didn't show actual photos of it. There was actual listing, like somebody would place like an ad, an ad for something for sale, but they didn't have any photos attached to it. Or if they did, I didn't click on them. Yeah, I made it. Happy Easter, everyone. You as well, Sprinkled Donut. Happy Easter, and I hope you had a terrific weekend. KFC, finger licking good. He painted the 7 dwarfs. Yeah, I know he did the 7 dwarfs. And then Pogo the Clown. But he also did other things too. But not as much as the 7 dwarfs or Pogo the Clown. Pogo the Clown was by far his most prolific thing that Gacy painted. He did more of those. How much was it? $400 was a listing. It was like $390 or something like that. But they said that they could do shipping for the item. That here, this is not going to be a surprise to anybody out there. At least it shouldn't be. There are a whole lot of different websites out there that cater to the interest of individuals who are in like true crime, and people trade memorabilia of serial killers and other people. They sell them, they trade them, they talk about these things. Hey, I hear that there is a death certificate for John Wayne Gacy is out there. Somebody's got the original, and they buy and sell them. And there are people, a lot of people out there who are collectors of this memorabilia. Well, this website I was on is one of those sites where people talk about different things that they have. They have letters, correspondence between them and a serial killer, or they have something from the murder scene. They bought the merchandise. They purchased the actual items. Serial killer is gone. They purge all that stuff out of inventory, from the police department, and so they buy up the stuff. There's a long twisted road out there for this stuff, and that's where museums like the Murder Museum in Los Angeles, they're one of the bigger brokers. And then there's like the Sing Sing in Alcatraz prison. They want things for their prison, I mean for their museums. So they're in the line as well. Well, we would like something from Al Capone at our prison. It's memorabilia and connected to him, and it comes with some kind of authenticity for the item. So people buy this stuff. I know it's creepy as hell to a lot of people. Why would you want to collect murderer memorabilia? People do, just like collecting Beanie Babies or anything else that people collect. Cookie jars. I mean, I know a lady with well over 400 cookie jars. Well, I have one, and it has Oreos in it for my son. I don't want to buy it. LOL. Just curious, everyone. Better KFC than Burger King. Triggered me to go get some KFC. I had one of those not too long ago. I had one of those chicken bowls, mashed potatoes and chicken and corn and cheese. It was actually not that bad. Don't go to a John Gacy auction. LOL, just kidding. No, it wasn't an auction. It was just listed for sale for for that price. But there are definitely paintings of Gacy's out there. They didn't all get destroyed or burned. Just like the memorabilia for Ted Bundy. I mean, like the T-shirt, Kitty Q, the T-shirt you have for Burn Bundy Burn. That's memorabilia that they're not making anymore. I would assume since Ted's gone. But that there's someone out there who probably want to buy that stuff. I don't, when it comes to memorabilia, I've got some letters, but their personal correspondence between me and people who have committed horrific crimes. I don't have a lot. I don't have like a 3-ring binder of this stuff. I've got a couple of letters, in the filing cabinet, but that's about it. Otherwise, I've got countless, printed off copies of PDFs of court cases, stuff like that. There are people who want to collect that stuff. I keep it just because it's reference material for me. You wish you had a Burn Bundy Burn shirt? From who? From who? What? Burn Bundy Burn? That was a T-shirt that was sold at the execution to the people who had gathered outside of the prison for Ted Bundy when he was being electrocuted. They sold T-shirts and I assume other things as well. I wasn't there. Letters? Oh, I've got one from Ridgeway. I have well, Ridgeway's probably the most popular that everybody would know. I have one letter that is it's almost impossible to understand. Um, but he was arrested for he was never convicted because they found him mentally insane. Um, David Parker Lee, and his letter is so if you read it from the end to the beginning, it makes more sense reading it backwards because it's so rambling on, and he like parts of it like there's like 3 inch letters, and then it's like it's microscopic writing, but and then um, Kenneth what was Kenneth's real last name? Bianche. I have a letter from Richard Nixon from when you were in the second grade. Cool. I have a letter in the house that's actually framed on the wall. That's from Ronald Reagan. It wasn't to me. It was to my dad. He wrote to my dad. So we have my grandfather is buried at um, Fort Snelling Cemetery. Yes, and but he Ronald Reagan knew my grandfather in some capacity. So you get a memorial letter, about sorry for the loss of your loved one, and at all war veterans, families have gotten those letters. But I have an actual framed letter on top of that that is from Reagan to my dad, about sorry for the loss, and then I can't prove that Ronald Reagan signed it because a lot of presidents from I don't know when they started doing it, but they have auto signers like secretaries, or they have the auto pen, which actually copies the actual signature, but it's in real ink, so it looks like they wrote it. So I don't know if it's really Ronald Reagan personally wrote that letter, and then because it's typed out on official White House letterhead, but it's signed Ronald Reagan. What happened to your left arm, Will? Reichardt, I had surgery on it about a month ago. I'm old and broken. As my wife says, my warranty has expired. But I have what it's not. It's kind of like tennis elbow. Um, but it's a compression sleeve. It just helps it, so it doesn't hurt so much when I go to move it. Whenever I move my arm and flex it, it's like I get this shooting pain through the back of my elbow up to the backside. So Clinton sent a letter to my grandma when your granddad passed. Every president has done it, as far as I know, since Kennedy. There might have been something that was done before Kennedy became president. The letters, it's got the golden seal of the military on it. The originals do. I have I have to have 2 surgeries on my left arm. I have an appointment with surgeon tomorrow. Well, good luck, Smith Shoes. But the surgery I had about a month ago, they went in and they cleaned up it was orthoscopic. So they went in there and they cleaned up the joint. There was like a bone chip that was in there in the actual joint itself, which I mean, after the surgery, it's definitely it's not as painful as it was before. So it's better, but it's never going to be 100%. I was wondering about the arm too, Rickard. Yeah, I I'm on what? So this elbow would be 27 surgeries. 27. And it's how many times I've gone under. Um, both knees, both arms, I've this arm. See my fingers? How this finger is bent, as compared to the other one, and I have I can't straighten that finger. I can move it. If this finger, this one, and this one feel like they're asleep, that you have that like that tingling sensation when like your foot falls asleep, but it's a lot better now. Right here, I lost all the muscle in my arm, and I've had I've had multiple surgeries on this arm. Um, my back, my right foot, ankle, um, gallbladder, shoulder, both shoulders, but 27. I have a hernia surgery. Have any of you dealt with that? I don't know what to expect. I have never had hernia surgery. That is the right, Cart. We joke that I'm going to be the $6 million man. So 2 years, not even 2 years ago, year and a half ago, I got ligament replacement in my right knee, and an ACL MCL tear in my right knee, and then I had ligament replacement surgery in the right knee. Yeah. But I hope the best for you if you're going to have a hernia surgery that sprinkled on it. When I was younger, I lived fast, and I didn't take care of my body like a dumb, male. And I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm probably gonna die young and leave a good looking corpse. It's kind of like, I just had a, well, whatever, I'll deal with it later kind of mentality. And now I'm paying for it. So mm. Sal says that Sal has had hernia repair and it wasn't too awful. What do ligament replacements feel like? They said they have to harvest ligament tissue, and it sounds awful. It well, first off, they put me under for it, so I don't know what the actual procedure itself felt like. I was out for that, and yes, I know they will not tell me the actual donor. But I know the basics of the individual. I got the ligaments from, and but they also did nerve replacement in there as well in the right leg. So the donor was a 23-year-old male, and that's all I know. They will not tell me anything about what, the circumstances, or like, what happened to this 23-year-old male that they harvested the ligaments and nerves from. But yeah, it's part of life. But I would say in the last 15 years is that's I've every year it seems like is when I've gone under the knife. That's why you're freaking. No, if I mean with the ligaments, you would, for somebody who was having ligament replacement, you wouldn't have to take any anti-rejection drugs or anything like that. It's only when there's like the nerve replacement that I had done on the same knee. I had to have nerve. I had to take the anti-rejection drugs for I think 2 weeks afterwards, but it was nothing. I had no side effects from them at all. But I think you only have to do that when you're taking an organ or something that passes actual blood itself. Is when they have to do that. I mean, but I don't know how they do that because from what I understand, the actual nerve itself that where it was severed in there, that thing is like finer than a hair. It's like they thought about taking one out of my back, but I had back surgery before, and they consulted with that surgeon, and that they were like, no, it's probably not a viable option to take one out of your back. So that's when they were like, well, we're going in there anyways. We need to replace the ligaments. We'll just do the nerve thing at the same time. Lots of pain. I didn't have lots of pain. Paying the piper, yes, I definitely am, right, Card. But knock on wood, I'm finally through the massive amount. And the reason why most of my surgeries have been in the last 15 years is because of insurance. That's the honest truth. My insurance absolutely sucked beforehand, and wanting to pay for anything, and what they did pay for, they nickel and dimed the crap out of me and the hospital and my surgeon, who, by the way, retired this past year. He did my arms, my legs, my knees, my foot, and my shoulder. My back was done in Spokane, Washington, um, at the surgery center there. Um, I think it's called like Northwest back and spine, something like that. But anyways, but he retired. He retired. So now I got to find a new surgeon if I ever need any more. So I've just decided I don't need any more work done. They're taking it from me. I'm picturing lots of pain. No, I mean, the most painful thing that I've gone through was gallbladder, because my gallbladder actually ruptured, and I drove myself to the fucking hospital. Sorry for swearing there, but I drove myself to the hospital, which was the most asinine thing that I have ever probably done in my life. I drove about a block before I almost passed out, and I pulled over, and then I drove another half a block, another block, until I got to the hospital. And then I got to the hospital. I didn't give a rat's ass what happened to my wife's car. I just left the car there, took the keys, threw them on the floor inside the car, and left it right there next to the emergency entrance. I was like, I don't care if you tow it or somebody steals it. I don't care. I'm here. And I could have called the ambulance, and but I was just like, oh, I can get there faster than they can get to me. Had a total knee replacement 2 years ago. Gallbladder surgery sucked. But when you had your total knee replacement, Morgan, did they replace the entire thing? And then put in a titanium joint? Because I haven't had a complete knee surgery yet, and the reason why we did the ligaments and the nerve replacement in my right is we know that I'm going to have a complete knee replacement. But again, the insurance company, in their infinite wisdom, they decided I'm too young to be able to have the knee replacement surgery. They're like, well, if you were a couple years older, we would consider it. I'm not joking. That's what the insurance company said. So the whatever the hell the cost was for the ligaments and the nerve replacement and everything else, to be done, they paid for that, and they're like, okay, we're going to try to get you 10 years more out of the knee before you have to have knee replacement. So I have 8 years. I got it, 8 years about before I can have the knee replacement. I had a Popeye's elbow and had that sac removed rather than drained. Not fun. Mm. You're right. I need hand surgery, but I keep putting it off. Well, see, and that's what I did. I kept on putting off all this stuff for a lot of years. I kept on saying, "Oh, I'll go away. It'll go away. It'll get better." Yeah, see my bedroom. I've got a dresser, and then I have a dresser on my side. My wife has a dresser on her side of the bed, but I have an entire dresser, like bureau, that is just filled. All four drawers are just filled full of braces, like knee braces, ankle braces, arm slings, you name it. That's all the drawers are just filled full of braces. That's gotten me this far. Ask and demand it. Good night, everyone. I'm going to go perform some surgery on my steak. Ooh, that sounds good, Callie Lisa. You have a terrific weekend. You stay safe out there, Callie Lisa. And I'm going to wrap it up right there myself, ladies and gentlemen. I do appreciate each and every one of you being here. Before we close this out and we go home for the onto our lives this week. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, or give it a thumbs down if you didn't. Now, this is going to be a kind of a weird week coming up for scheduling for content for me. I'm going to try to still get the Dumb Criminals out on Tuesday and Thursday, but this is spring break for my son for the next week, so it's just going to be me and him hanging out. And I would much rather spend my days, over the next week, playing with my son and taking him places than necessarily being stuck in, here in the studio. Don't get me wrong. I love doing this. This is what I do. This is my passion. But my son is also my passion. So I'm going to try to at least get the Dumb Criminals up this week, on time. But don't forget, Chad Daybell's trial starts tomorrow. Chad Daybell's trial starts tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, and it's not an April Fool's joke. It really is starting tomorrow, finally. But again, if you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Leave a comment, share the link out with your friends, tell them about it, so they can either give it a thumbs down or a thumbs up. So glad I made it for a minute. Have a fabulous week, everyone. Be safe out there. You as well. Yep, you got a titanium. Well, that's what I'm looking at and having to have done, Morgan. Bye, everyone. Cement shoes, I'll keep you in my